You are watching Joseph TV show.
Guys, history repeats itself. You remember this video of President Donald Trump before he became president in 1998, where he was on interview with Oprah Winfrey? Take a look and listen keenly concerning of genes and skin color. So yeah, just listen for yourself, the person that you voted in. So it means that it is something that was inside in his soul that he was intending to do in future once he become the president of the United States of America. So listen to him, and this is what he's doing to prove it. He has already opened the door to South Africans, and he has already closed the door to more than 500,000 immigrants from different parts of the world.
Last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country, how we're really making other people live like kings, and we're not.
What do you think of this year's presidential race, the way it's shaping up?
Well, it's going to be very interesting. I think that probably George Bush has an advantage in terms of the election. I think that probably people would say that he's got like that little edge in terms of the incumbency, et cetera, et cetera. But I think Jesse Jackson's done himself very proud. I think Michael Dukakis has done one hell of a job. And George Bush has done a hell of a job. You know, they all went in there sort of as semi-underdogs, including George Bush, and they've all come out. I think people that are around all three of those candidates can be very proud of the jobs they've done.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined, I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing, this country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
Shame on the United States. Shame. Shame on Donald Trump and his whole administration. So check this out, y'all. White South Africans granted refugee status by the Trump administration. Now let that sink in. Look at these people. These people are the descendants of the colonizers and the apartheid rulers in South Africa. So the government over there is using their constitution to help give land back to the native Africans. They're buying land from South Africans who own 70% of all the land. And you go, how did they do that? They stole it. Then you got Elon Musk and Donald Trump talking about there's a genocide happening. There's no genocide. The only genocides that are happening right now are in Gaza, the Congo, South Sudan. Those are really genocides, and those are really refugees. Then you got Trump, remember, talking about they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, when he's referring to Haitians. That's not happening either, and it wasn't happening. They have real status to be here, to work. But these guys, these Afrikaners, These poor farmers, they just, for whatever reason, can't make money in South Africa. They haven't been on their job. You notice there ain't no millionaires and billionaires Afrikaners coming to the United States as refugees. It's the poors. They got money for wars but can't feed the poor. And I'm talking to you, white Americans, especially the ones who are in the lower class of poor. This really affects you. These Afrikaners are about to come over here, get free housing, free medical, they're going to get jobs, they're going to get education, and meanwhile, a lot of you are going to continue to live in rural areas, in your trailers, in your apartments, and you're going to lose your jobs because of Doge. These guys are here to get all the resources. America, that's a shame, y'all. That is a shame. Shame on the United States. Shame.
But I have good news for you. You don't have to worry about the cheap exploited labor rising up against you anymore, because now that you're in America, you'll get to be the cheap exploited labor. If you were middle class or upper middle class in South Africa and you come to America, you're poor now.
So starting yesterday, the U.S. is receiving its first batch of white South African nationals that have been extended the privilege of coming to the United States as refugees from South Africa. This first batch is 8,000 of these people. So the American people didn't want this, don't want this. It's crazy because when Donald Trump took office, he discontinued almost entirely the refugee program, and there were like 22,000.
The President Donald Trump is chasing the immigrant in the United States of America, and already is now taking the white people, especially from South Africa, to America. While we have homeless Americans who are struggling for health insurance, shelter, and food. And these people, they have already pampered with package of food, shelter, healthcare insurance, etc. That is unfair. It is unfair. So this is some of the reaction from citizens of America. Let us listen to what they say about this issue of taking white South African to the United States of America.
Administration truly is. This is some of the most racist shit I've ever heard of. In 1913, South Africa had white supremacists running the country, and they created apartheid, which created segregation and discrimination laws against black South Africans. It was whites only South African businesses, whites only South African movie theaters, whites only South African swimming pools. South Africa was on that racist shit just like America treated black folks. So in 1913, white South Africans took over South Africa with force. White South Africans stole land owned by black South Africans. Fast forward to 2025. Three of Trump's biggest supporters are three of the most richest men on the planet. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and David Sachs are three billionaires that fully support Trump. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and David Sachs are all white South Africans who were born in South Africa, white supremacy, and apartheid. Elon Musk is a white South African white supremacist. South Africa now has a black president. This South African president wants equality in South Africa. He wants the racism to stop, and he wants everyone to be treated equally. Trump and Elon Musk heard about this black South African president wanting equality. Trump immediately stopped all funding to South Africa. There are only 7% of white people in South Africa. But those white people own 70% of the land in South Africa because they stole most of that land from black South Africans. The new black South African president put a new law in place to right the wrongs that were done to black South Africans that had land stolen from them. Just like when European settlers stole America from the natives. Because the South African president wants to give back land that white South Africans stole from black South Africans, that's why Trump and his administration are saying white South Africans are being persecuted and done wrong. But white South Africans are not under persecution.
I mean, the facts are there is no systematic prosecution of white Afrikaner farmers. For the Trump administration to take the view that there's somehow systematic persecution. It's actually problematic and troublesome and damning on the way the Trump administration is receiving its information.
How are they being prosecuted when they the ones who stole the land from black South Africans? Black South Africans are the ones who originally owned that land. What's so wrong with doing right and giving black South Africans their land back? But see, this is the thing. South Africa is not even seizing land like Donald Trump is saying they are. It's a lawful process that's handled in the courts of South Africa. If someone stole land from you and your family, wouldn't you want it back?
Don't worry about these white South Africans coming here. They about to be the new help. You heard me. They are about to be the new help. They got rid of all the people tending the land. All the immigrants that were tending the land are gone. So what they about to do, replace them with the white South African workers. Y'all gonna be working to feed black folks. As y'all should. Get y'all asses over here and do y'all goddamn job. Y'all think y'all getting away from us. Y'all not. Y'all just gonna be working for us. Come on in the room. See, Trump knew he couldn't get our asses out there. There's no way in hell you're gonna get black folks out there to work no kind of land. Or he could say, hey, these South Africans are being suppressed. Their land is being taken away from them. They need to come over here and seek retribution. And get y'all asses in the field where the fuck y'all belong. Make sure y'all picking every fucking vegetable and don't miss out on anything. Y'all not getting away from black folks. Y'all gonna be around us a lot more. And unlike the ones in South Africa, you're not gonna be able to call us colored. You're gonna get your dome rocked. So be careful, tread lightly. And remember, we don't see you as African. We see you as colonizers of an apartheid. Welcome to America. Y'all, don't worry about these white South Africans.
Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America. We respect what you have had to deal with these last few years. We respect the long tradition of your people and what you have accomplished over the years. Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America. We respect what you have had to deal with these last few years. We respect the long tradition of your people and what you have accomplished over the years. Welcome. Welcome to the United States.
So, starting yesterday, the U.S. is receiving its first batch of white South African nationals that have been extended the privilege of coming to the United States as refugees from South Africa. This first batch is 8,000 of these people. So the American people didn't want this, don't want this. It's crazy because when Donald Trump took office, he discontinued almost entirely the refugee program. And there were like 22,000 people from different countries seeking refugee status and in the process of receiving denial or approval for the refugee status to reside in the United States due to issues in their country, which are always based and caused by, no matter what they are, the destabilization that the United States and the West has caused at some point, some way. Donald Trump discontinued this program almost entirely and threw all of these 20-something thousand people back to their countries. You come to the United States as a refugee because you're fleeing political persecution or ethnic persecution, political blah, blah, blah. It's forms of persecution. These Afrikaners are not being racially discriminated against, but I will tell you something, and I hope this is not taken the wrong way. I worked in South Africa in 2017 and 2018 for their National Assembly, and I was able to meet some of these characters because they have a party in the parliament there called the Vryheid something First Party. It's a minority party, and their party fundamentals are based on the party is based on two fundamentals, okay? These are very racist people. The most racist shit I have ever heard in my life come out of these people's mouths. And the fundamentals of their party, their politics, is the staunch opposition to affirmative action and the staunch opposition to black economic empowerment. These people are descendants of the colonialists from the Netherlands. They came into South Africa in 1948 and before that, really, and stole all of the land. So they make up like 13% of the population in South Africa, and they own like 95% of the land. Like literally one person will have 20 or 25,000 acres that they and their lineage stole. And they are colonialist minded to this day. They are slave mentality, like slave owning mentality. They are, they exist in South Africa, and black people are not allowed where they live unless they have a permit for work, like a housemaid or something. And they're the cause for South Africa being one of the most unequal countries in the world, according to the World Bank, to this day. And while apartheid ended in 1990, you wouldn't know it going to South Africa by the way that the black people, the black South Africans, are treated versus these jackasses. Ignorant, evil people. I mean, they call themselves Boers and shit like that. I'm telling you, the stuff that they say, and it's like every single one of them that I met that are... almost 200 of them in this party. I didn't work for this party. This party is just in the assembly. All are like that. Like they are like in their regular conversation are like, black people don't have no intelligence. And this is the shit they say all the time, right? And it's why there's racial divide in South Africa like it is, because this minority still has a grip. So Donald Trump, at the behest of Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, with their insistence that these particular group of white people are facing racial discrimination because the National Assembly, the government of South Africa, has enacted a land back policy, which is technically expropriation without compensation, which you stole the land. You don't need to be compensated to have one person, and they will tell you, we worked hard for this land. You didn't work this is what they believe. And it's 20,000 acres, and one person will tell you that his grandfather worked hard for the land. His grandfather came from Israel and the Netherlands and stole the land by murdering the people that had it for generations. And these people that are coming to the United States, I do not like them, and nobody else is going to like them. They're not coming here because they are under oppression. They are coming here with a sense of entitlement and their wealth, and for a reason. But as they're being provided refugee status only as the exception to the rule, everyone else, no one gets this status ever again because the program is being discontinued. For 12 months, at least, they have housing completely paid for. They have all of their food, all of their clothing, all of their amenities, cell phones and travel vouchers. In some cases, even they will be provided vehicles. Guess who pays for all of that when it comes down to the bottom sifting? U.S. taxpayer funds are who get those funds are derived from U.S. taxpayer funds. When everybody was yapping about the people that, like Florida and Texas, was flying to New York, the migrants last year and the year before that, and they were saying they're getting vouchers and they're getting free food and subsidies, and they weren't. Well, these 8,000 plus are going to get all of that for at least a year. And then after a year, they'll be able to change their status to permanent legal resident. And now half of the Afrikaners have an issue with coming to the United States as a refugee. But the ones that understand the agenda are the ones that are coming. And they're coming with entitlement, and they're coming with wealth. And it's going to cause racial division. I'm just being straight up with you. These Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Peter Thiel do not have good, genuine interest in the well-being of anyone, much less South African white people. And I'm just telling you that Zionism is all in it. Zionism and Nazism were in South Africa at the end of apartheid in 1990, deeper than what Nazism was at the height of Nazi Germany in the 30s and 40s. And we can't forget that in 1994, 4 years after apartheid ended, in the year that the first democratic election took place, conservatives in the U.S. Congress were wearing ribbons that said "Hang Mandela." And so this is the mentality of people that are coming here. And they have existed and maintained their apartheid mentality, and all that truth and reconciliation was just like denazification. It was all a sham and a show. And so these people are coming here and they're going to get U.S. taxpayer funded privilege for a year. Meanwhile, we're deporting U.S. citizens. We are at the threshold of suspending the writ of habeas corpus. Due process is something that is scoffed at. There are more homeless people now than ever before, including children who are without house, without food, without electricity, without running water. But these privileged white racist MFers are coming here under the guise of a refugee so that everything is funded, but for a different agenda than what is being let on to the American people. And largely, the American people don't even know anything about this happening. But the administration is so about it that they're going to Dulles Airport with a welcoming ceremony with a flock of government officials. So this is, the Jews are all in South Africa with the Afrikaners, training them to be snipers in an anticipation for this conflict over this land back measure that they do believe will escalate into a conflict at some point in the future. So I don't think that Americans should be welcoming to these people. I know that sounds, to some people on the surface of it, it might sound immature. And we don't want any of that racist shit here. We are dealing with our shit, but you will see when these people are here and it's attention on them that Americans, the American culture on white and black issues will make us look revolutionarily evolved compared to these backwards, knuckle-dragging white supremacists, because they are real white supremacists. They are white supremacist-minded. Currently, they are colonialist-minded. Currently, they are apartheid-minded. Currently, and they are slave master-minded currently. And it's going to cause us, and that is why I believe they're being brought here.
To all of the South African, Afrikaans refugees that are coming to America soon, I just want to let you know, as someone whose wife is Afrikaans, who's been to South Africa multiple times, you're going to have a bad time. There's no white genocide happening in South Africa. You have crime that's happening as a result of racism-fueled generational economic inequality, the same thing that's happening in America. We're just a couple decades ahead of you on the unchecked capitalism timeline. But I have good news for you. You don't have to worry about the cheap exploited labor rising up against you anymore, because now that you're in America, you'll get to be the cheap exploited labor. If you were middle class or upper middle class in South Africa and you come to America, you're poor now. Like, really poor. You're not going to have maids and gardeners and personal servants that you can pay $15 a day for. Now you get to be the cheap labor. But by all means, please come to America and experience the American capitalism that Elon Musk's been raving about to you. You'll probably love it. What do I know? There's probably very little chance that you'll end up going back to South Africa in a year or two after realizing how overpriced and fucked up America is. I wouldn't even worry about that as a possibility. And if you think I'm being mean to these people because I think they're a bunch of racist, bigoted colonizers who wish they could go back to apartheid South Africa, it's just because I do think that. But to them, I say, welcome to the American dream. Please let me know when you've woken up from it. To all of the South African, Afrikaans